Why do some people seem unstoppable in life and wealth? Why does it look like, no matter how many failures they face, they bounce back and eventually come out ahead? And why do others, with just as much intelligence and even more effort, feel stuck in the same loop of trying, pushing, and burning out? The secret isn't what most people think. It's not raw talent. It's not just opportunity or timing, and it's not simply working harder. The real difference lies in focus. The wealthy, the consistently successful, do not fixate on chasing goals. They pour their energy into building systems. Welcome to the long game. I'm Nathan, and today we're going to break down this subtle, almost hidden principle: why the rich focus on systems, not goals. Why they design structures that generate results automatically so they no longer depend on constant bursts of willpower. This is the reason their success looks effortless from the outside, because the heavy lifting is done by systems, not by motivation alone. Let's begin with something simple. Think back to the last time you set a big goal. Maybe it was losing weight, starting a business, hitting a financial target, or even learning a new skill. At the start, you were fired up. You told yourself, "This is it. This time I'm serious." You probably imagined the end result, felt that rush of excitement, maybe even shared it with friends. But then, time passed. The initial spark faded. Life got messy. Your schedule got crowded. You had days where you felt tired, overwhelmed, or distracted. And slowly, that big goal became something you pushed off, telling yourself you'd get back to it later. That's the trap of goals. They depend on motivation, and motivation is a fragile fuel. It burns hot in the beginning, but it rarely lasts through the long grind of daily life. Now, let's imagine the same scenario, but this time, instead of just a goal, you build a system. Say you want to save $10,000 in a year. A goal would simply be that number written down, $10,000 saved. But a system would look like this. Every time you get paid, 10% automatically moves into a separate investment account. You don't think about it. You don't argue with yourself. It just happens. And at the end of the year, without relying on willpower, without fighting yourself every payday, you arrive at the number. That's the magic of systems. They work even on the days you don't. The rich understand this better than anyone. They know that willpower is finite. It's like a battery that drains over the day. If you rely only on goals, you're asking your brain to make the same tough decision over and over again. Should I save or spend? Should I work out or stay home? Should I push forward on this project or scroll my phone? And when the battery is low, when you're tired or stressed, you choose the easy option. That's why goals collapse. But systems eliminate the need for constant decisions. A system is a pre-designed path. Once you build it, it runs almost automatically, like a machine in the background. You no longer need to argue with yourself. You just follow the structure. Think of a farmer. A farmer's goal is to harvest crops. But the farmer doesn't wake up each morning saying, "Today I will get the crops." That would be absurd. Instead, the farmer builds a system: plowing, planting, watering, protecting from pests, nurturing the soil. Over time, this system produces the harvest. The harvest is not achieved through sheer wishing or motivation. It's the natural byproduct of the system. This is how the wealthy approach life. They don't just set the goal of becoming rich. They build systems that almost guarantee wealth. Automatic investing systems that compound their money whether they're awake or asleep. Business structures with teams and processes so the company runs without the founder micromanaging every detail. Routines that build knowledge, fitness, and clarity, such as reading daily, exercising consistently, reflecting every evening. Notice how unglamorous these sound. There's no fireworks in automatically investing 10% of your paycheck or reading 30 minutes a day. It's boring. But boring is the secret. Boring is what works. Because success is not about explosive bursts of effort. It's about quiet consistency, stacked over time. That's why the rich don't obsess over goals. They obsess over systems. Because once the system is in place, the results take care of themselves. Here's another way to picture it. A goal is like setting a destination on a map. But if you don't have a vehicle, you're just staring at the map, wishing you could get there. A system is the vehicle, the car, the fuel, the route. With just a goal, you can get stuck or lost. With a system, you keep moving step by step, no matter what. Eventually, you arrive, not because you forced it, but because the system carried you there. So, when you see someone who seems to always win, remember it's not luck, it's not magic, it's the systems they've built behind the scenes. Systems that make the desired outcome almost inevitable. In this episode, we're going to explore how to shift your mindset from goal chasing to system building. We'll talk about the different types of systems, financial systems, business systems, personal growth systems, and how you can start putting them in place today. Because once you build systems, success stops being an occasional victory. It becomes your default mode of living.
When we talk about systems, many people imagine complicated machines or corporate processes, but the truth is far simpler. A system is just a repeatable structure that produces a predictable result. And when you zoom out, the lives of the rich are a web of these structures, running like clockwork in the background. Let's break this down with money first, because that's often the easiest place to see it clearly. Most people set financial goals like, I want to have $1 million by the time I retire, or I want to buy a house in 5 years. Those goals sound good, but they don't contain the engine that will actually get you there. A system, on the other hand, is something like this. Automatically moving money into index funds every single month, rain or shine. With that system, you don't have to stress about timing the market. You don't have to outsmart Wall Street. You just keep feeding the machine. And over years and decades, the system delivers the result. Wealth that compounds almost invisibly until one day it looks like magic. This is why you hear stories of janitors or school teachers who quietly became millionaires. They didn't set some bold, I will become rich goal. They built a humble system. Save consistently, invest steadily, never interrupt compounding. Their lives prove that systems beat goals, even when income levels are modest. Now, let's move to business. Imagine two entrepreneurs. The first one sets a goal, I want my business to hit $1 million in sales this year. The second one says, I want to design a system so that every new customer naturally leads to referrals, upsells, or recurring revenue. Who do you think will win in the long run? The first entrepreneur may hit the goal once, but it will feel like climbing a mountain every single year. The second entrepreneur may start smaller, but once the system is in place, the business grows on autopilot. That's why the richest entrepreneurs, from Jeff Bezos to Warren Buffett, obsess over systems. Bezos didn't just want to sell books online. He built a system, Amazon's infrastructure, that could sell anything to anyone at scale, repeatedly, with efficiency. Buffett didn't just want to make a profitable trade. He built a system for buying companies, holding them for decades, and letting their cash flow accumulate. Notice something important. Goals create one-time victories. Systems create repeating victories. And repetition is where wealth multiplies. But this principle goes beyond money. Let's look at personal growth. Think of someone who says, "I want to read 50 books this year." That's a goal. Now compare it to someone who says, "I will read for 30 minutes every morning before I check my phone." That's a system. Who is more likely to succeed? The second person. Why? Because the system doesn't care if they feel motivated or not. It's built into their routine. Over time, those 30-minute sessions add up to not just 50 books, but maybe hundreds across a decade. And those hundreds of books transform into knowledge, insights, and opportunities. Health works the same way. A goal might be, "I want to lose 10 kilograms." But a system is, "Every day I'll walk after lunch, avoid sugar drinks, and track my meals." The goal depends on a finish line. The system creates a lifestyle. And a lifestyle sustains results long after the initial finish line is crossed. Here's a story that makes this concrete. There was a man named James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. Before he was famous, he didn't set a goal to become a best-selling author. He simply built a system. Write 2 articles per week, every week, for years. That system gave him thousands of readers, then hundreds of thousands, and eventually a book deal. The book sold millions of copies worldwide. The system came first, the success followed naturally. This pattern repeats across every domain. Systems are like the soil, and goals are like the flowers. If you only focus on the flower, it will wither quickly. But if you focus on enriching the soil, flowers will keep blooming again and again. Another way to frame it is, systems are about identity. Goals are about outcomes. A goal says, "I want to run a marathon." A system says, "I am the type of person who runs every morning." Which one builds a lasting identity? Which one sustains itself even after the marathon is over? The system. That's why people who focus only on goals often feel lost once they hit them. They cross the finish line, feel good for a moment, and then emptiness. But people who focus on systems keep going because their process is tied to who they are, not just what they want. Now, let's tie this back to wealth again. The rich don't just say, "I want to be a billionaire." That's a flashy goal, but it's hollow. Instead, they say, "I will build a system of investing, networking, business design, and decision-making that compounds value over decades." The billion comes as a byproduct. And even if they lose it all in a crisis, the system remains inside them. That's why so many rich people, after going bankrupt, rebuild their fortunes faster the second time. The money may disappear, but the system, the knowledge, the routines, the structures stays intact. Think of Elon Musk. Love him or hate him, the man didn't just have a goal of building electric cars or rockets. He built systems. Systems for manufacturing, systems for funding, systems for marketing through social media hype. That's why Tesla and SpaceX aren't one-time wins. They're engines that keep producing results. Here's the key insight. Systems create leverage. Goals don't. A goal is personal. It ends when you stop pushing. A system is external. It keeps running even when you rest. That's why the rich can take vacations while their businesses grow, while their investments compound, while their routines stack results. Their systems work harder than they do. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to be rich yet to start thinking like this. Anyone can build systems. Even if you earn a modest income, you can create an automatic savings system. Even if you're just starting a small business, you can design a system for customer referrals. Even if you're new to personal growth, you can create a daily system of reading or exercise. The shift is not about size, it's about structure. The moment you replace, "I want to achieve this goal," with "what system will make this inevitable?" your entire life changes. And this is where we begin to see the long game. The rich are not playing for quick wins. They're playing for structures that keep paying out for years, even decades. While most people burn energy on one finish line after another, the wealthy quietly build highways, systems that allow them to reach destination after destination without starting from scratch each time. So here's the question for you. What's one area of your life where you've been chasing goals and failing? What system could you build instead so the result becomes automatic? In the next part, we'll explore exactly how to design these systems, step by step, so you're not just inspired, but equipped to create structures that generate results without the endless grind of willpower. Because once you learn how to build systems, you'll stop playing the short game of goals, and you'll begin to master the long game of life.
So now we've established that systems beat goals. The natural next question is, how do you actually build one? It's easy to say, focus on systems, not goals, but unless we break it down into practical, repeatable steps, it remains just a nice idea. And remember, systems aren't about complexity. They're about simplicity that repeats. Let's start with the first step. Identify the arena of your life that matters most right now. It could be money, health, career, or personal growth. Don't try to systemize everything at once. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Instead, ask yourself, what single area, if I built a strong system here, would create the biggest ripple effect in my life? For many people, that area is finances, because money touches everything. A simple system like automatic saving or investing can transform decades of financial trajectory. But for others, the most impactful system might be health. Imagine if you built a system around daily exercise and clean eating. That wouldn't just improve your body, it would sharpen your mind, boost your energy, and make every other system easier to sustain. The key is to choose the foundation. Step 2. Replace the outcome with the process. This is where most people stumble. Let's say your goal is to write a book. That's an outcome. But a system would be, I write 500 words every morning before work. Or maybe your goal is to run a marathon. That's an outcome. But a system is, I run 3 times a week, gradually increasing distance by 10%. The magic is in focusing on the process you control, not the finish line you fantasize about. Step 3. Automate as much as possible. Automation is the friend of every system. For finances, that means setting up automatic transfers to investments, not relying on memory or willpower. For fitness, it could mean preparing your workout clothes the night before, so you remove friction. For personal growth, it could be scheduling reading time on your calendar as if it were a non-negotiable meeting. Automation doesn't mean machines always. It means designing life so the system triggers itself with minimal effort from you. Step 4. Track inputs, not just outputs. Outputs can be discouraging because they move slowly. If your goal is to lose weight, the scale might not change for weeks. But if your system is walking every day and you track that input consistently, you get immediate reinforcement. You followed the system. The outputs will come later, but the inputs are what you control. This subtle shift keeps motivation alive. Step 5. Refine the system over time. No system is perfect from day one. The wealthy understand that iteration is part of the process. They set up structures, test them, measure results, and then tweak. Think of a business with marketing funnels. At first, the funnel leaks everywhere, low conversions, wasted money. But over time, by measuring and adjusting, it becomes tighter and more efficient. Your personal systems work the same way. Be willing to improve them, but resist the temptation to abandon them altogether. Let's go deeper with an example. Suppose you want to grow in your career. A goal might be, I want a promotion in 1 year. But a system could be, every week, I will add one new valuable skill to my toolkit, and every month, I will present something useful to my team. Over a year, this system makes you visible, valuable, and undeniably promotable. Even if the timeline shifts, the system keeps increasing your value. And here's the kicker. Even if the promotion doesn't come right away, the skills you've stacked are yours forever. Or think about relationships. A goal might be, I want to have a stronger marriage. But a system could be, every evening, I will ask my partner one thoughtful question and listen fully. Over time, this tiny system builds intimacy, trust, and connection. The outcome, stronger relationship, is simply the byproduct. Now, let's address a common objection. But Nathan, I like goals. They inspire me. They give me direction. And you're right. Goals are not useless. Goals can set the compass. They tell you what mountain you want to climb. But once the direction is set, systems are the actual steps that carry you upward. Without systems, goals are wishes. With systems, goals become inevitable. The difference is subtle but profound. You don't abandon goals, you just stop worshiping them. Instead, you use them to inform the systems you'll build. The rich aren't anti-goal, they're just pro-system. Another piece to remember is identity. The strongest systems are rooted in who you believe you are. Let's use health again. If you say, I want to lose 10 pounds, that's weak fuel. But if you say, I am the type of person who doesn't miss workouts, that's identity. The system, daily exercise, is now tied to who you are, not just what you want. And when your actions reinforce your identity, the loop becomes self-sustaining. Every time you keep the system, you prove to yourself, yes, I am this type of person. That feedback loop is powerful beyond measure. Now let's zoom back to wealth. The richest people in history weren't chasing random finish lines. They were architects of systems. Rockefeller didn't just aim for a big oil company. He built systems of distribution, pricing, and vertical integration. Henry Ford didn't just set a goal to make cars, he built the assembly line system. Steve Jobs didn't just want to sell gadgets. He built a system of design, hardware, and software integration that locked people into Apple's ecosystem for decades. Each of these examples shows the same truth. Success that lasts is systemic, not episodic. So what does this mean for you, here and now? It means you have to ask a different kind of question. Stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, what system will make this result inevitable? That single question reframes your thinking. Instead of chasing outcomes and burning out, you'll begin designing processes that quietly, steadily deliver. Imagine your life 5 years from now. If you keep chasing goals with no systems, you'll likely repeat the same pattern, Big plans, short bursts, disappointment, repeat. But if you spend those same 5 years building systems, even small ones, you'll wake up in a completely different life. Your finances will be growing automatically. Your health will be stronger because routines became identity. Your career will be advancing because skills and contributions stacked over time. This is why the rich look calm. They're not constantly running in circles. Their systems are running for them. And when something breaks, they don't panic. They fix the system, not just the symptom. So as we close this discussion, here's the challenge. Take one area of your life this week and stop setting goals for it. Instead, design a system. Strip it down to the smallest repeatable action. Automate or schedule it. Track the input, and watch how, over time, the outputs take care of themselves. Remember, the long game isn't about quick victories. It's about building invisible structures that carry you forward, day after day, until success is no longer something you chase. It's something that happens because of the way your life is designed. And that, my friend, is why the rich focus on systems, not goals. Because in the end, systems are freedom. Systems are compounding. Systems are the quiet engines behind every great fortune and every lasting success.